David Lopez coming live.
All right, David, you need to apologize to the fans.
Yes, we have sound.
Are we back live?
Yeah, it's live.
Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the inconvenience.
I guess we don't record on Audacity.
All right,
The
whatever.
audacity
I don't care.
of hope.
We'll have to just promote the YouTube video. Sorry about that, folks. We are the Young Life Perception Podcast. We're here with David Lopez. He basically told us his whole life story, and our mics weren't working. So now that he's not nervous anymore, we're going to try it again. You can follow us at Team Young Life P. We don't usually make mistakes like this, but today's been full of mistakes. But now we're live.
Nice.
And we hope we have some viewers. I'm glad you guys know how to use the chat now. Basically, it was all just a big test to see if you guys can use chat.
Yeah.
Got you. Haha. But basically, we're probably just going to start all over because you missed it all.
Yeah, we'll just start from the beginning.
Yep. First thing I want to talk about is you can follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. You can also check out our website, younglifeperception.com, and that's where our audio podcasts are at. And you can check out our YouTube channel as well. We'll be tweeting links to that. And you can also check out our blog. That's younglifeperception.wordpress.com. And we post blogs about twice a week. So
Yeah.
now that that's out of the way, if anybody wants to sponsor us, we're open. We
know how to use audio equipment very well. So,
Dang.
this is water.
all right. So, today we have David Lopez as our guest. We're going to be talking about what the real world is actually like after high school and, those first couple of years of college, the transition over into that, because that's the time when we break out of the little high school shell and we enter the real world. We have David Lopez here with us once again to talk about this. Where can we find you at, man?
I'm on Facebook. I don't have Twitter yet. I'll be there eventually. But David Lopez, Holt, Michigan. I don't know my ad address. Apologize, but
Don't use Twitter that much.
nah, not yet.
All right, man. Well, before we get started on this whole podcast, why don't you give us a little bit about your background and everything?
For sure. Well, I'm currently 21 years old. I've lived in Holt, Michigan most of my life, my entire educational life. I graduated in 2009. I've been an athlete for Holt and decided to move on and play football in college for a little bit, and that lasted about a year, and had some problems with that. We'll touch on that later. But other than that, now I lived in Grand Rapids for a little bit. Now I'm here and ready to.
You're here and
life.
single and ready to roll.
Single.
There we
and
go.
Ready to mingle.
Leave
Yes.
numbers in the chat, ladies.
Please do.
So, how long did you live at your house before you moved out?
I lived at home until I was ready for my freshman year of college. I did what everybody else did. I guess I still basically lived at home, but I just moved during the school semester. Summer I came home and everything like that. But I'm actually currently back there now after getting back from Grand Rapids. But I'll be on my own. But when I was living at home throughout my high school years, I guess I was in a situation where life was very, very easy and very nice, which I don't know. I was spoiled to death, which was fantastic at the time, but has affected me in some ways. A lot of good. In some ways, there's been some hard realities I've had to face because of that, and just getting back to where I can try to build myself a life where I can live the kind of life I used to live back in the good old days,
So, it's safe to say you feel that you had a very privileged childhood.
Extremely privileged
So
childhood.
basically, when maybe Cody and I or other people that got jobs at around 16, we learned a lot of different things that you had to learn at a later year.
Yeah, I worked hard. My work, my office was the gym, was the track, was playing football. That's all I was supposed to concentrate on, which was great. I didn't have to have a job until I turned 19 years old. So just 2 years ago, I got a job, or 2.5 years ago, something like that. But football was my job, and so cash, money, capital it had been kind of given to me as a way to support my football, because I mean everybody's got money, and that's kind of oh man, that's affected me even to this day. Even when I was making big boy cash, it was still getting blown. But I mean, I don't even know where we're at. Where are we at now?
It's no big deal.
Where are we at
Yeah,
now?
for sure. It's
This
just
is
a
a
podcast,
laid-back
man.
podcast.
Podcast.
So, what was your living situation when you actually did move out of your house? You had it very easy, and you probably thought that was the norm, what most people had. And would you say that's safe to say?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, because I was kind of, I guess I was in a way sheltered. I wasn't oblivious to the real world and the tragedies and the bad people, if you want to call it that, for lack of a better term. But I mean, I was definitely a little bit more sheltered, and I just thought that's how everybody was. I thought, I mean, I came from a great family. I thought everybody's had the best interests of everyone and not just themselves. And I didn't think there was that many selfish people in the world.
A little naive, almost.
Yeah, oh man, yes, to that sense of human being, or to humanity, excuse me, for sure. But I mean, big wake up call.
For sure, man.
Wake up call.
So, what was your living situation like now? You lived at your parents' house,
Very,
and
very sheltered, very sheltered. And then my first place I went was to Trine University at my apartment. And while I was there, it was pretty easy going and stuff like that. I had some things happen we'll talk about in a minute. But as far as that living situation, it was easy. When I moved to Grand Rapids from Indiana, from Trine University, I moved into the cheapest apartment I could find because it sounded like it was good. I had some warnings from people, but I just ignored them. It was the cheapest thing. What's going to happen? No, the first month I was at this apartment, something I'd never thought would occur in my life. I had a gentleman bust into my apartment. Well, I can't say bust in, but he came and knocked on my door. I opened it up. He just came in my apartment, sat on my couch, and I didn't know what was going on. Somebody else busts up in the door and comes up and says the cops are looking for him. They're at his apartment, and I kind of got a little bit of a shell shock right there. Like,
oh yeah,
what's going on here? I've never even dreamt that would ever happen to me, and that's kind of where I first started to feel unsafe over in Grand Rapids, and then shortly after that, I mean, I would say probably another month or so. I heard a gunshot. You can just tell when you hear a gunshot. Never heard one.
Was it close?
Like that. Oh yeah, it was definitely within the complex. I was outside my balcony, and then a couple hours later, the police had found a body in a dumpster.
Wow!
I would say
in the complex you live in.
In the complex that I was living in, they found a body in the dumpster, and there was a murder that was just.
You heard it.
So you were right there.
I heard it. Yeah.
And it's not for people who don't. Some people won't understand what that's like to have gunshots and people busting through your door. But when that shit happens, it's very difficult to sleep that night.
You don't even know how to react.
You're worried the whole time. Like when you're living at home, your dad's there. Like your dad's the one who's paying attention to all that shit.
Right.
And you're sleeping like a baby. And then when you get out there and someone's beating on your door or busting in your door saying, I'm running from the cops. Yeah, you're the one who's protecting yourself. Your parents aren't there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that's a big reality check right there.
Right.
That's how it was for me, and I was in Chandler's, and it wasn't even that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the worst thing we had was just some creeper looking through our garbage at night. Man. And that was pretty creepy, too, but they weren't finding dead bodies in dumpsters and shit.
Right.
And every time I drive through Grand Rapids, I'm like, man, that looks like such a nice city, but once again, it's obviously
it's
the
city.
Place that you're at. Yeah. Is different.
And once it gets dark, downtown is kind of a scary place. I witnessed a brawl there. Like someone got hit by a car and they were like riding on the windshield for like 50 feet and the guy sped up. It was crazy, man. The craziest fight I've ever seen. Just this big, huge brawl of people. Everybody's drunk. Everybody I looked at was wasted. Like every single person I looked at had that daze in their eyes. Like, I'm wasted right now. I'm going to do something stupid.
Yeah, and it's like you see those stories all the time in the news of kids just going out and partying, and it's always the nice guy that gets shot by a stray bullet and killed.
Right.
And it's like, that could be you. You could be out there partying, having a good time, and you could be shot. And it's like they weren't aiming at you or anything like that. It was just
bad
people
luck.
fighting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
it's pretty crazy how much balls people have now. Bringing guns to places and shooting people.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That creeps me out, dude. I mean, it's safe to say that I was raised pretty well too. My parents took good care of me. I'm sure Cody can kind of say the same thing, but Cody had a lot of responsibilities growing up.
Yeah,
he grew up quick. My dad gradually gave those to me, gradually put payments on me. So it wasn't just like I didn't have a job and then all of a sudden I had to go out and do that. So I have no idea what that's like. I mean, I started learning pretty quick what it was like, the value of money.
For sure.
And hard work, because that's what my dad showed me.
For sure.
But he really, it's hard to say that we could do a better job because I don't have kids.
Right.
So I can't say that I would do a better job. I think all of our parents probably did a great job, but it's just certain little things that it's funny how the littlest things can change
so much.
Yes, a lot.
So much
a lot of your
perception.
life, and it's honestly, to me, I'm saying this in the most positive way I can. It is positive, but to me, you learning and going through this and actually learning from it is the important thing.
Oh,
and
100%.
There's a lot of people who go through your shit and they're still the same their whole life.
It was just natural to them, but it was so skewed from what I was used to that it shocked me. It made me go into a rougher state of being. I wouldn't at any point where I was
depressed or
contemplating suicide or anything like
maybe
that.
a little bit.
I would say that, there was definitely some depression. I just felt angry a lot. I felt confused.
You start to be afraid. You start to be afraid of everything else.
Afraid of life. How am I possibly going to do this? And I got into the point where I've been out of school for a year, and it was just I don't know how to get back into the swing of this. I don't know how to get myself back on a track where I feel I'm comfortable in doing what I need to do to be successful in the long run, whether that's financially, my emotional state of being, whatever.
Yeah, sometimes you don't even know where to start.
No.
And it's actually
Big change.
a very scary thing for parents. They say it all the time. And that's what this podcast is all about, is to let people know, we've gone through that part. We're going through it right now, and we're just trying to share it with those kids who are maybe seniors in high school, who all they see is, CMU, state, welcome week. That's all they see.
Right.
And it's that is awesome. Go out, have a good time. Sorry, parents, for promoting that stuff, but it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. But just be safe about it and be ready for it, and listen to these types of things, and listen to people who are older than you who have stories, so you can be prepared for that stuff.
And you can learn from those stories as well. Now, you were out of your house for about 2 years, maybe a little bit longer.
Right.
And I know that you had to have at least a job or two along the way in order to support yourself, because you were a big boy living on your own now.
Yeah.
So what are some of those things that you did during these?
While I was going to school still yet, I'll just go living in Grand Rapids. I had a summer job before I moved to Grand Rapids, but I was just mowing some lawns.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't any big deal. Summer job, easy stuff. But when I got into Grand Rapids, I was a server going to school, kind of working my schedule a little bit.
Okay.
It was extremely nice.
Know about that.
But
Yeah. Oh, that shit goes.
But I don't know, that I started, having a little desire to make some bigger boy money, or what I thought was big boy money at the time. And I was doing, I did roofing for a second, and then I moved into the marketing and sales part of it, where I was making really good cash. It was a little more commission based, and I was doing well at it, and I thought it was going to be a career for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, I sat back and realized that's not necessarily what I want to do my whole life. I don't know if that went under. I have no reputation or education or anything,
credentials
to
even
to fall back on. I've got roofing sales. Okay, well, good job. You worked for one or two companies your entire life. Where are you going to go now? I'd be stuck. I'd have no
right. And
So
even
you
though
realized
experience for
early
anything
on.
except for roofing sales or serving, and that's not what I want to be stuck with my whole life. Even
Right.
if it did go great, the risk of it having it not was just not worth to me. And what I see when I say the risk is basically having a college degree versus not having a college degree. Even if I wanted to do roofing sales today for the rest of my life, I would still want to go back and get my college degree just so I have some kind of credential to fall back on.
right. So now basically you talk about how you need these credentials and everything, and when you got out of school, or I mean not when you got out of high school anyway, and you moved out to Grand Rapids, you probably thought you were going to grab life by the balls and
Oh, dude. dude.
and kill it.
Yeah.
We all thought when we got out
on
of high
top
school.
on top of the jobs, man, I thought so much. I started my own business. I started a tree removal and landscaping business. I mean, I was getting jobs. I get 1 job, 2 jobs a week, making real good money. It was all going to my pocket. It was all cash. I mean, it sucked. I blew it all, but I was making good money. It was great. I was able to just go and do whatever I wanted to it, and I go have a $50 dinner, and it wouldn't affect my pocket too much, which sounds great when you're 21, but I mean,
you get to be.
And I'm
30.
also living in that cheap apartment. I'm not living in some big house, affording some big payment.
That people
I have
bust into.
kids. I want kids someday. I want to have a wife someday that I can take care of, and that kind of income would take care of me. Hardly, but I mean, it was taking care of me at the time. I just couldn't. As soon as anything else got in the picture, I'd be in trouble though.
Right.
But
Yeah, and shit happens all the time in life.
yeah, for
Car
sure.
breaks down, you got to pay for a new car. Shit like you're talking about that kind of shit, right?
Yeah, for sure. I could afford life and a few perks, but other than that, I really couldn't afford as much as I thought I could.
Right.
So
money doesn't stretch as far as it seems when your parents are paying for everything.
When you were saying that, when we were joking about you waiting tables, I was about to say, sometimes that's a real eye opener, serving tables and just having like old ladies like tell you off, and then that must have been a reality check for you too. Going out and serving people and treating you like shit because you aren't
as nice as grandma and
what the hell
grandpa.
did I do to you?
Yeah, exactly. That was
Sorry.
probably one of the biggest eye openers for me. I was like, oh, everybody's nice, if you're just nice to them, and no, that's not true at all.
No.
Everybody's got their own problems, and it's hard to see that. And sometimes their problems get in the way of their attitude, and that's basically what happened to me. Is my problems got in the way of my complete attitude, not just with my current situation wherever I was, whether I was chilling in my apartment with some friends or whatever. I was just a whole different person. I mean, in my younger years when I was, I guess younger years, a couple of years ago when I was 18 and then below, I was just such a happy person. And then as soon as things started kind of going south for me, as soon as I hit the top of that roller coaster and started heading down, man, I could notice a big change in my personality. I didn't realize it, and then I realized at that point I'd never understood how people could be rude for what I perceived as no reason. But then I kind of realized like, dude's just got real shit going on. I mean,
right?
That's what it is, and I just want to prevent that from now on. That's my life goal. Prevent that attitude, that terrible feeling of just defeat. I don't want to feel defeated anymore. I want to feel like I'm beating, the shit out of this life, and that's what I'm trying to do.
And that's really what Young Life Perception's about.
Yeah,
that's
for
why
sure.
we started this whole thing, is because you can't always just sit back and be like, I hope things change.
Yeah,
Cody and I stepped up and was like, we have a lot of problems. We have people who have problems and expertise. Let's bring them on the show and just talk about things and see if there's always going to be that kid out there that could stumble up across this podcast and like what you're saying, and it could change his life. And that's all I think about.
I hope that's the case.
It's like something I say makes someone decide, this is the life that I want to live, and I can beat the shit out of it, as what you said.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. So during those 2 years, you had some different jobs, and I'm sure that you encountered some big challenges along the way, especially with how you grew up and the situation you were thrown into. And
it's about to get real juicy.
Sounds like it.
How many chatters do we have? Has anybody been asking anything?
We got some people. They haven't asked anything yet,
Feel free
but
to pop out some questions.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we'll save those. I guess we can just ask them like in between, like if we have a pause or anything.
Yeah, if anybody has a question, just go ahead, shoot that to our chat, and we'll be sure to get on that.
Sure.
Yeah, I was just wondering, do we have a lot of viewers or anything?
We have 4 viewers right now.
Oh,
so
nice.
Anybody out
We're
there,
getting
thank
big,
you so
son.
much.
We're getting out there.
Spreading across the state.
So basically, sorry to interrupt you. That's just my personality. But we were talking about some big challenges you had to face.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's been several. In challenges, what they were at the time, life-changing experiences. When I look at them now, they really have shaped who I am in this current moment. Like this second, exactly who I am is what I was. I like to think of my life so far in 2 phases, and that was like the high school phase and whatever, and then what I've kind of call my young adult phase after I've gotten out of high school, and the things I've experienced now because it's just a whole different lifestyle. And I mean, when I first got to college down at Trine University in Indiana, I had a great time. I mean, I went crazy. I mean, just like you said, I saw the parties. I went and partied. I partied way too hard. I mean, I had a good time. I was playing football at the same time, and
living the life,
dude. I mean,
or what seems to be the life.
What a naive idiot, I guess, thinks of as a life. I mean, it was a good time, but I was hooking up with a couple girls here and there, and then kind of messing with a couple of their feelings, whatever. And then one of them that I had hooked up with, I mean, she told me she wanted to be my girlfriend. I said no, and she was upset, didn't talk to me anymore. Was so upset, she decided to hook up with my roommate, or one of my suite mates, I guess. There was 7 of us in this little apartment, and it was a different night, about a week later or so. And then she decided to come out about a week after that. So, about, 2-3 weeks into school here, I want to say, she comes out and says that we had raped her at separate times, and that really just I remember where I was. I remember how I felt. I remember the things around me when that happened. When I heard that phone call, my buddy called me and said, "Hey man, did you do anything this week?" And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's, well, I just got a call from a detective. He said he wants to talk to me about you. So I was like, well, go talk to him. And then he started saying, hey, call me back. It's worse than you think. And I just kind of remember him saying, it was this, we're both being accused of rape. And I just remember going just completely just like blank. I couldn't barely think. My heart stopped. I'd never, ever experienced anything in my life that was even remotely like a speeding ticket was my next closest violation, I guess, or
oh man, that's a good way to put it.
I mean, it was wild. I went from paying $100 fine to for no reason, and I've got it's all taken care of. It's all expunged off my record. It's all proven innocent. I've got just for the record. Viewers,
for the record.
I'm clean. It didn't happen. We went to trial. Yeah, it was.
So if you were thinking about sending that phone number, it's okay.
Yeah, the phone
number's
number's
okay.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, that is, I've never had to go through anything like that. And once again,
25 years to life in prison. Man.
Wow. Once again, all these people who think it's cool to just hook up with girls, that can happen to anybody.
It can too,
especially when you're just hooking up with girls drunk.
Yeah.
Right. That's the shit that can happen.
The worst is if they actually perceive it to be that, because they're just so messed up that they want to call it that.
And there's people out there.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that some girls do get raped, and
and
they don't believe the girls, and then you have girls that claim rape on guys, and it's all false, and it's just a big messed up situation.
It kills credibility for the people that really did have a bad encounter. That kills me for them. I don't know. The whole experience, personally, was just mind blowing, and it kind of
kills yours too.
Oh my! I mean,
goodness. You can't go out and say stuff like that about people. I
was in a small college campus, and everybody. I mean, by like a week after we'd been accused, it was put in the paper.
Wow.
I mean, we were. I guess the whole rape thing was after a while. It had been dropped down to an assault charge, but when it was still being looked into as rape, they had sent out a campus-wide email saying there were 2 possible alleged cases of rape on campus.
Wow.
And sent to every student's email, and every student for sure knew what was going on, knew who it was, because we were all so close. And my buddy and I were both football players on this team, and it was it just got nasty. I mean, like, we didn't feel too weird, but like you could just tell that people knew. She would make a big deal about it. She would tell everybody she possibly could for the attention. And it was just like killing me, man. I hated every second of it from there, man. But I mean, through that, I've faced, that kind of led into, I guess, where that was the top of my roller coaster, where it started to go down. I guess playing football was the top, and then as soon as that happened, when I kind of just like hit that over the edge spot, and then that's where I started to lose other things. It wasn't just some sense, I guess, my pride, my what I feel is my reputation. Not just that was being ruined. I lost desire to want to go to class. I lost desire to want to go to football. I started to kind of get out of football a little bit. I mean, I was in it still, but then I had I got a concussion right around the same time that she'd accused me, and so I was kind of out from that anyways. And then I ended up blowing my shoulder. I mean, I had some injuries happen, but that really got me out of the game and set me back and caused me to then drop out of football. It made football easier to let go of because I had an excuse now. And then, I mean, that really, really, let me check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would, just in case. But, I mean, that really just, that started everything. And then, I mean, from there, I mean, I changed just so many small things that I had changed, like, then from football, I changed my major even from chemical engineering, which was a very difficult, what I viewed to be a prestigious major. I mean, it's hard to do. Then I went to a little easier major. I went to what I viewed as a little bit easier major. I went down to finance, and I understood business a little better. It seemed to come a little easier to me, but I wasn't challenging myself. And then from there, I mean, I went down from a university to a community college, and then from a community college not going to college, and it was just like I could see
spiral downward.
I could see the spiral going downward. Not at that time. At that time, I was like, I'm still going to school. Okay, well, now I'm full time. Okay, now I'm part time at community college. I'm still going to school. Okay, well, now I'm just taking time off.
Making excuses, basically.
Yeah, making excuse after excuse, and that's what people do. And that's what I was doing, and I never saw it. I never wanted to be that I guess stereotypical kid that did that and just kind of spiraled down and didn't do anything with himself. I refuse to let myself be that, which is why I am doing so well today and back in school, and I just refuse to let life defeat me. For sure.
Nice, dude. So a sport that you put your life and soul into all throughout high school. I mean, we grew up next door to each other, and I remember how important football was to you, man. That was every day. It was something that would help out your football career.
Every day.
Every single day. And you put a ton of work into it. And to just have that stripped away from you like that, the chain of events were so unfortunate, and just to lose that was probably kind of hard.
Yeah, for sure. It was extremely difficult. And one of the things I remember my football coach is saying to me, one of the guys, I respect him so much. He's the guy that recruited me, but he said, I wish you the best. As soon as I left the team anyways, he said, I wish you the best. It's so unfortunate you're not on our team, a part of our team anymore, but I'm just gonna let you know it gets worse before it gets better. And I didn't see how it could possibly get any worse, but
yeah, I don't think I would either.
Wow, he was right.
Yeah.
I mean, he just hit the nail on the head, man. It got worse, much, much worse. I mean, it was crazy how he called that, and I mean, I'm just lucky I got to see it before it got too bad, I guess.
So with this whole mix of disasters being thrown at you, how about relationships? Did you have any relationships, or did they suffer? Or?
I had a relationship with this girl who I fell crazy for this girl when I was at college down in Indiana. Just went crazy for this girl. She was great. I mean, life was good with her.
Kind of makes you forget about everything else.
Yeah, it really did. It was kind of like it was kind of like the love drug, man. It just blinded everything else, made me kind of just oblivious to anything but her. And it was kind of nice, but I mean, I'm not sure what happened, but where I wasn't necessarily, I'll take some blame for this. Where I wasn't fully happy with myself and what was going on, and how I kind of see some things starting to decline on me for my life, or what I felt. I mean, we just kind of were temporarily happy instead of being truly happy after a while. And then, I mean, I actually ended up making her my fiance for a little bit. Yeah. And then we ended up splitting up.
What age was that at?
19 years old.
So it's pretty safe. Yeah, it's pretty safe to say 19. You thought you knew it all.
Dude, I thought I had life, man. I thought I knew what life was. I thought I knew what I wanted. I was so confident, and then you get in there and you're just like, wow. This is just not at all what I had perceived this entire crazy thing of life to be. And one thing that continues to pop in my head, I guess, is how we are all. I was telling you earlier how we're all like programmed to think in high school, anyways, to think and to believe and to see things a certain way and to believe into ourselves to the fullest. Which, yes, you definitely. I'm not saying don't believe in yourself. Believe in yourself to the fullest. Dream as big as you can dream, but just be ready for tragedy, to be ready for conflict, be ready for problem, be ready for challenge. Because high school, in high school you can screw up, you can miss a test, you can come back and teach. Oh yeah, man, you can make it up, no problem. In college, that doesn't fly. I mean, sometimes maybe you get some a little bit of leeway, but in life that doesn't fly. I mean, you get some second chances. Don't get me wrong, but in the grand scheme of life, you can't just slack off and then
expect to be successful.
Well, here you go, based on getting some
you can't
attention for
slack off
yourself.
on electric bills and
right.
your taxes and your home payments and shit like that. Like there's no slacking when you get out of high school.
No, not at all.
And for some people, they fail because they're not ready for it, and that's why another reason why we brought you on is to kind of help people
for sure
see what goes on. And not everyone's gonna experience what you've experienced, but basically what we're showing people is if you can experience the kind of things you've experienced and you're making it through it and you're getting back up and you're going, that other people can do it too.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, especially someone that's lived a lifestyle that I lived when I was a kid, as far as, being a little more sheltered, being a little more privileged, getting some cash handed to them every now and then. They're at some point, I believe, whether, it may not be in college, it may not be after they're out of college, but at some point in their life, they're going to have a necessary, I'm going to call it a tragedy, in their life. No matter what is, or I guess we don't have to go tragedy with it, but we can say challenge. That's really going to make or break who they are and who they're going to be in the future, which mine just happened to be that I faced tragedy and I came out on top ultimately. Well, so far.
Yeah, so far.
Yeah. So
and
it's just how you react with it. Roll with the punches, man.
Yeah, and you learning from all that stuff is just going to help you when more problems arise because you understand that you made it through these problems.
Yes.
And now that more problems approach, you're just going to look at it like, I can do this. Like, I've done it before.
Like I was invincible, but now I in my mind I used to be invincible. I used to be like I was on top of the world. I didn't think
it was like you were given invincibility.
Yeah.
But now you've earned, that invincibility.
Right.
Like you've earned from doing all this.
Right.
Like you were given it when you were in high school, living at home.
But then I had to get beat down a little bit. My guard was dropped for a second.
Yeah,
and
and
someone took advantage of it.
Yeah, and everyone's gonna have to go through that. Everybody.
Yeah.
So everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect. We all have had our fair share of mistakes. And honestly, we need those. Our brain needs to spot those out so that we can correct the problem and learn from it. That's the only way we learn. Now, had you had some different knowledge when all of this stuff was going down, do you feel like you could have prevented any of those problems that you experienced?
I mean, every one of the problems could have been prevented for sure.
Yeah.
I am now, in a twisted way, glad that they were experienced. I mean, I couldn't have slept with that girl. I mean, I could have, had my surgery and stuck with football. I could have stayed at Shrine. I could have stayed in chemical engineering. I could have done all these different things. I could have prevented every single situation. But then later on in life, whether it be 2 years from now or 2 years from then or 4 years or 10 years, whenever it may be, I would have to have this reality check. So I'm kind of glad it happened at a point in my life where I feel like I can sacrifice, a couple of things that I've had to sacrifice this year and kind of make some mistakes and stumble a little bit and figure myself out a little more so I can figure out what I really, really want to do with this life. So
yeah, I was actually just about to say that it's so much better to experience those things when you're young.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying everybody should be experiencing a rape accusation, but
right.
what I'm saying
in
is
some way,
like,
shape, or form.
Like when people are trying to determine their major and things like that, this is the best time to try to, quit things and try other things. This is the experimentation years.
Yeah.
And I agree with what you said, If it didn't happen now, you think it would have just happened later.
Oh yeah.
And it probably would have.
Yep.
So
I mean, or I just continue to blow money and blow money and blow money, or I mean, who even knows? If I had money keep coming in, I'd for sure keep blowing it until something happened where I go bankrupt later on in life, or I'm glad I don't have to have that kind of lesson. So I see these things as I'm okay now. I'm great. So they were bad things then that I made through it all. So I mean, how can you look back and say, like you can say regret, but I don't like to say I regret anything, because I lived through it.
You learned from it.
I learned I learned my true self, and I hope through saying what I'm saying today that I'm getting to someone that can, say, well, I'm about to go to college right now. Maybe I should keep myself, contained or I guess restrained a little bit and limit myself a little when I'm, having a good time, or, realize that money doesn't just grow on trees every day, and, just give somebody some sort of reality check to say, there's got to be some kind of hard work put into this life to get where you really, really want to be. And, whether it is going to college or not, even if you're not going to college, you're going to have to put in a hard work to get to where you feel you are happy with yourself and successful emotionally, financially, et cetera.
Yeah, and a big thing is you got to make sure it's what you want. Like, it's not about what other people want you to be. It's not about what your parents want you to be. That's a big thing for me. I've had to learn. It's like my parents try to tell me, like, this is what you need to do, and you need to hurry up and figure out what you want to do and get college over with. And I was always the one that's like, no, I'm going to take my time now, because I'm not going to be stuck in a job that I don't like. Right. And, I agree with what you were saying. It's you got to learn it now. Like, this is the time to learn it. We're not saying don't go out and have fun, but just know when it's time to be serious and when it's time to have fun.
Definitely.
And you'll survive college just fine. And, go out, meet people, make friends, keep the close friends close, and just have a few acquaintances. I don't even know how to say that word.
Acquaintances.
Yeah, I can't say it. Fuck it. But, have a lot of friends, but have few close friends,
Yeah.
And I like to relate it back to Twitter. I mean, you can, easily go follow somebody and they'll follow you right back. But if you communicate with somebody and they follow you and you communicate back, that's someone who's going to be there for you. You can't just go up to somebody and be like, I met him at a party, we got drunk, he's my best friend, I trust him with the world. It's not like that at all. It's not like that at all. You can't just go follow somebody and have them follow you back. You got to find a few close friends and stick with those people.
Yeah.
And they have to be people who are positive as hell. And they're gonna be the ones that make you successful, and you're gonna make them successful. Yeah. That's what's important about college.
Yeah.
Sure.
Now, David, you were talking about reality checks. Oh, yeah. When would you say that your reality check really started to kick in? Around what age, and how did you know that you were starting to wake up and open your eyes to a new, I guess you could say, sharper perception of your world?
For sure. Well, I mean, even going through being accused of rape, I mean, I still kind of lived in a little bit of, I don't even know, a not real state of mind, I guess. I was still kind of in this alternate reality where I thought, everything's gonna be okay for a little bit. Then all these other things kind of started happening, and still, even through, losing football and going to a community college, I still wasn't seeing that I was, going downhill. But I had been in Grand Rapids through the roofing company. I had this girlfriend in Grand Rapids. It was actually her father. So, I mean, even then, again, something was kind of being handed to me. That's why my job was so easy and so good. But, I mean, I realized when I was working there that it just wasn't the lifestyle that I was destined to live, and I knew it. I didn't have to try at work. It was easy. It was great money, but it wasn't the kind of money I would be satisfied making
in 10 years.
In 5 years. I mean, it would have, there's no way in hell I can see that. It would just like balloon all of a sudden. I was just making, big boy money, but it just seems so easy, and you can only do so many roofs a year. It's not like you can.
There's only so much time.
Boom, and have one person coming in and just making a bunch of money out there. So when I was working on the roof, I realized that I was 20, 21. Everybody, I mean, the next guy I was working with was, well, I mean, there's like a 27-year-old. Oh, I said, okay, there was a 22-year-old, but scratch him. Other than that, there's a 27 and like a 28 and like a 30 and then we had like a 38 and a 42-year-old. I mean, I was so much younger than everybody else, I felt, and I mean, I love these guys. Hopefully they're not watching. Don't think I'm bashing.
What if they were?
Don't think I'm bashing on. Don't think I'm bashing on you guys. It's not that at all. But it's just that I realized that, by choosing that lifestyle, by choosing that route, as opposed to everybody. In my opinion,
You're not bashing anybody.
in my opinion, everybody's got the option to go to college. Everybody's got the option to go and really work their ass off to be a corporate CEO if they really want to be. If that's what you want to be, sir,
some people
then
want to be
go
roofers.
do it, and it's gonna happen for you. I just realized that I wasn't in a situation where I needed to work there, where I had to work there. I was doing it because it was easy for the time, and that's when my first reality check kicked in, and I realized it's time to make a big change in this life, because I do not want to be stuck here forever and live in regret, and that's where I feel I would have been, 5, 10. I guess I kind of started to live regret 4 months ago, so I can't even say 5 or 10 years from now, because it already kind of started to kick in.
Yeah, I think it's important that you said, it's honestly, to me, it makes you a better person when you can look back at that age and be like, this is not what I want to do. And I'm about to take a jump, and I don't know where it's going to go, but I'm going to take that jump, and I'm going to trust myself. That takes a lot, dude. You have to grow up a lot when you make that decision. It's pretty easy. Most people slip into that, where they just find that roofing job, and they don't like it. They hate it. There's people out there that love that shit, and I'm not bashing them at all if they want to do that job. Some people want to do that job. But for people who, are in those jobs, I've met a lot of people who are in jobs, and they've been there for 20 years, and I asked them, what'd you really want to do when you were younger? And it's not what they're doing.
Yeah.
And what you did is you said, this is not what I want to do, and I'm going to take a jump, and I'm scared to death. You probably were. I was when I decided all that stuff. And you went with it. And to me, that's so much better. You don't want to be that 40-year-old, flipping burgers, saying, I had a dream once too, because those are the people that tell everybody else it's not going to work for them. And you're basically telling me, like, hey, I've done it, and now I want to tell people about it.
For sure.
Well, the one thing that we, as different as we all were on the roofing crew, the one thing that we all had in common was that we absolutely hated our job. So that's not where I wanted to be. That was just like, wow, everybody's around here angry all the time. Everybody's just, upset with this, having to do all this hard labor all the time and making, it was decent cash, but it was just a lot of hours, really hard on your body, man. There's working out, staying healthy, staying fit, and staying active, but this was just like
backbreaking work.
So you had that 20 years old, you said?
20 years old.
Meanwhile, Cody and I don't know when you got a job, but I got it when I was 16, so I experienced that real early.
Yeah.
Like that this is not what I want to do. And that kind of encourages you to go to college and do all those things.
For sure.
It just looks like 3 years later it hit you.
Yeah, for sure.
And so you're just 3 years behind, man.
Yeah.
We're just catching up.
Catching up.
So we had a question from one of our audiences, and it says, how did your parents help you during these difficult times?
Well, my parents, I'm going to say my grandparents, my sister, my family really has been there for me. They've always been there for me financially. Which is such a big help. It really has been a blessing, and more importantly, though, emotionally, they realized I was in a bad spot. They just surrounded me with love. They invited me back into their home. They've really helped me get, I guess, out of my bad state of being, out of my situation where I was stuck and where I could have been easily screwed over. I don't want to say screwed over, but screwed and been stuck living that kind of lifestyle for either a much longer period of time or just not being able to get out of it because I wouldn't have anybody else to go.
Right.
And my family's been there the entire time
nice
to help me and get me out of that situation, which was just a complete blessing.
Yeah, family's important.
So you would say that they probably were the ones to help you the most through this process.
100%.
Definitely.
100%.
That's awesome.
I guess when I look at your situation, I see someone who, had a great family, was given, you said a lot of cash whenever you really needed it. And then you have the opposite. You have the complete opposite, the kid that has no family.
Yeah.
And it's like, now I understand why those kids have a hard life and why they join gangs, because what are they looking for?
Right.
They're looking for a family. And that's what you had. And it's like, people don't take it, serious. They take it for granted. Like everybody who's listening right now, who's, telling their mom to shut up because they're on the computer. Like, they all need to go open their door and give their mom a hug and tell them that they love them, because your parents are always going to be there for you.
Right.
And they swooped you up, and they were like, you know what, we'll take care of you.
Yeah,
and they showered you with love, you said.
At times, to me, I thought they're the biggest idiots in the world. And
we all go through that.
And I told them so. I told them. I mean, I mean, several times when I was, I guess you can call it depressed, when I was in not such a happy state, I'd go home, hang out with my family for a little bit, get mad for a very, very minor reason because I'm not happy with my life and the way things are going. I just kind of go off with my family, and then I push them away, for the last couple of years, because I've been trying to figure out my own life and get myself, back to a point where I feel I'm respectable by my eyes and by anybody else's eyes, because I kind of what seems like from the outside, just throwing everything away. But even after being disrespectful to them and at times and saying that I hated them, I'm sure at times or whatever, they still, I said, hey,
there.
I'm sorry. I didn't even have to say I'm sorry. They were just there the entire time. I mean, no matter what I said, my mom would just be like, I love you unconditionally. I'm just gonna forget you even said that. But
that's the greatest thing about
so
family,
blessed.
Right?
And I think, what was I gonna say? There was something I was gonna say. Crap, I lost it. Yeah, it's gone.
So what about those people who are in a low spot right now? I mean, you've been there, you've lived it, you've had some pretty crazy shit happen to you all at one time, to the point where it's overwhelming. What do you say to those people who are experiencing this right now?
The biggest thing is, men or women. I mean,
I do it all the time.
Yeah, you just gotta push. I mean, you gotta stop, and you cannot lose sight of what or who or is important to you, especially your goals in life. I mean, I lost my ability to set goals. I lost my ability to dream bigger than making my next week's paycheck. That was basically what my dream was at the time. I mean, obviously not a real dream. It was a nightmare. But my real dream, is to live in some ridiculously beautiful house and to have a nice family that I can comfortably take care of and provide my kids with college and to be able to drive. I mean, I love cars. I want to be able to drive a Viper someday, and if I can afford it, give me a Ferrari. Give me something beautiful. Those are my dreams. And you know what? Maybe I'll never get there, but I promise you that I'll be closer having those dreams to have. I'm going to word this. I would be closer to getting those dreams, or to reaching those goals.
Than people with no dreams.
Than people, than where I was if I just would have just been okay with what I was doing. Whether I get there or not, it doesn't matter, because I'm going to be closer, and I'm going to be as close as I can possibly be. And I mean, that's all you can do. And it may get worse before it gets better, but it will get better. And that's where we're at right now.
Everybody has a responsibility to, Cody and I have responsibilities. If we meet people our age and they're not dreaming big, encourage them to dream big.
Yeah.
Show them things that, cause them to use their imagination a little bit. Just have a talk with them. Like, people need to start being nice to people.
Yes.
And that's really what it is. And I agree with what you said 100%. I'm a firm believer in dreaming big. Mm-hmm. And sometimes my parents have told me, stop dreaming. And it's like, dude, I'm never going to stop dreaming. And whenever I meet those people in those jobs, they're 35, 40 years old, and they're like, my dream was to be an artist. And I have the same response for all of those people. You still have time. You need to chase that. You need to do something. You do not want to be on your deathbed and be like, I spent my whole time, not chasing dreams. And that's a really good point. And I agree 100% with what you just said.
For sure.
We just had a question by Ustreamer 896211.
Shout out.
It's
a chick.
They said, what about college now?
What about?
And we don't know if it's a chick.
I'm just kidding.
Chick.
What do you mean?
What do you exactly mean? Yeah. By
how's college going now?
Yeah, is that what is?
Well, I guess we can just.
I think college officially starts after the 2 years you fuck around. I should have said that word, but whatever.
I messed around. I'm back into school. Like I said, I changed my major to finance. I'm back into chemical engineering. I'm going to school. I mean, I was in Grand Rapids. I'm now going to school in Lansing. I'll be attending classes You're hopefully going to MSU shortly, probably next semester coming up in the spring. But, I mean,
grinding out college.
yeah, just getting it taken care of, trying to set myself apart from everybody else instead of blending in.
For sure, man. That's awesome.
Dude, I'm kind of blown away that we had some questions. That's actually really sweet.
That's
Thank
really
you very much,
sweet.
users. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you,
it's really
everybody.
great.
Viewers.
I mean, we still have more, but if they want to keep asking questions, that's great.
Yeah, for sure. So, I guess to sum this all up, what is the most important lesson that you've taken away from this entire 2 years of hardships, ups and downs, and all these difficult challenges that you faced?
You know, I had a response to this question written down. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it to the viewers. But now that I've sat here and talked through all these things, and really, you know, again, you know, it's hard to tell what the most important lesson. I've learned it, but it's hard to just point out what it is. And it's a combination of a few things I've realized. It's that, you know, whether it be family, whether it be a boyfriend, a girlfriend, or just a close best friend, you got to have support by people who truly, truly love and care about you. There's a lot of people in this world that you love and care about, and that love and care about you, that will stab you in the back quicker than you can blink. I mean, it blows your mind how fast things can turn around in a relationship. But people who truly, truly love you, that will never, ever happen. And family, I guess, is the best way to put that. Whether, I mean, like I said, it's the best friend or not, family is huge, and to keep them close and to have that close-knit support group makes life so much easier. Whether it just seems easier or actually is easier, I don't know, but by having that support group, you feel so much more motivated, so much more energy, and so much more alive every day, just because you know you've got someone that loves you and that cares for you and wants to see you do well, other than just trying to push on by yourself.
And go home and visit them.
Yeah, exactly.
Hang out with them.
Please.
It's not uncool to hang out with your family.
Not at all.
Right.
I see them every day. I live with my parents. I love it. My roommates.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Nice.
It really is great. And, you know, the older you get, the more you, like, look back on your life and how your parents treated you and all those times you got upset about certain things. And the great thing is when you get older, you look back on that and you almost want to cry a little bit.
Right.
Because you look at what they were doing to, like, help raise you. And you're just like, holy like, my parents did all that for me, and I took it all for granted. And the people who can look back and see that and say, I took that all for granted, dude, you made it. Like, you learned it.
Yeah.
Like, you're good.
Yeah.
Now go out and just do everything you can do now.
And what's so
after that.
funny is that all the time as kids, we're looking at what our parents are doing, and we're getting so mad at the stuff they're doing because we want to do what we want to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, you look at it later on down the road, you kind of reflect back on it, and you actually see, hey, what I wanted to do actually was a terrible decision. And I thought it was so right. I thought it was 100%
I remember
correct.
when I was in 5th grade, my parents never let me go to Edgerew. I know you guys knew that was the
roller
spot.
skating joint.
You guys knew that was the
Friday,
spot.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Every
Trying to get
Friday,
some kisses,
Saturday.
man. Man, my parents wouldn't let me go to that. I was pissed.
Got that couple skate.
Shoot the duck.
That's funny.
Man, that's funny.
Did anybody else give any questions? Or
Nope. If anybody else has any questions, we'd love to hear
I
them.
mean,
if
I'll
not,
still talk
Yeah, for sure.
now that we don't have structure. I mean, what do you?
For sure.
You got any advice for anybody like who's listening?
yeah. What about
I mean,
those
we've
people?
kind of asked you that, but
There are some
Right.
people. If anybody's listening and you feel like you have it all figured out and you're around our age,
You don't.
yeah, definitely
You
not. And
Don't.
like
Well,
you were saying
we're
earlier,
here to help. Like, we're gonna tell you, like, you don't have it figured out, but we're always here to help you out.
Right.
Like, that's what people need. Is they need people like us to just step up and be like, we're gonna do a podcast, and we don't care if people hate it.
right,
We're not there for the people who don't need it. We're there for the people who need it.
Yes.
right,
And that's what I think about all the time when I record in front of a mic. Is like the things I say, you know, could change someone's life.
Yep.
And-
I hope I touch one person. I'd be
Yeah,
so
that's the
thrilled.
great. It really is the greatest thing in the world. You know, having someone email you or tweet you and be like, "Yo, I liked your podcast. You know, it changed my life and
Yeah.
it changed my perspective. And now I'm ready to go to college
For sure.
and do all the things I need to do."
For sure.
And of course, they're going to experience it in their own way because they have to. That's how they learn.
right.
You know, I mean, I've just tried to live for excellence, man. I mean, that's where I've struggled the last couple of years is lost sight of that. Like back in the day, I used to do a lot of things with Special Olympics. I used to coach, ref, volunteer, chaperone events all the time. And then as soon as things started kind of going south, that's the first year I stopped doing that. It's the first year I had stopped going down to New Orleans for Hurricane Katrina relief. I know it sounds crazy, but there's still work.
That's not crazy.
Still tons of work that needs to be done down there. But like when things started going bad, I started also dropping the things that used to be so important to me. Like I said, like all
and that's how you realize they're important too. You know,
yeah, for sure.
It's cool because helping people, it really does make you feel a whole lot better. Just giving back to people.
Yes.
Who don't have families. Some of them don't have families, and basically you're going out there and you're helping them.
It's such an intrinsic reward. I love the feeling.
It's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, for sure.
So what would you say to somebody who, I mean, I'm sure that you interact with some people that remind you of you a couple years ago. They have that same attitude, that same, you know, feeling that they're on top of the world and they have everything figured out and they have the world conquered when really they don't, and they just haven't had that reality check yet. What would you say to those people if you could tell them something and they would take it in? And
you really need to prioritize what truly is important to you in life. Priorities, definitely when you're in college, you get mixed up a little bit. That's what happened to me. I put my morals, my values aside a little bit. I put my family, like I said, my family is like my top priority to me, and I'd shove them down to, I mean, who even knows where they're on the list or if they're even on there at one point. I mean, it was just crazy. Just, you need to really figure out where your priorities are and where they should be, because when you do face some kind of challenge or you have a little hiccup here, if you have your priorities in the right place, it'll be a lot easier to bounce back because well, first off, you've already been prepared because you've been doing the right things instead of, you know, making partying your number one priority, and then all of a sudden, you know, you make all these big changes and going to this crazy, I guess, change in your routine because now you got to stop partying because you got to go to class every single day and hurry up, take all your tests and study as fast as you can. You know, take school seriously, take your job serious, whatever it may be, whatever you're doing. If you got a child, take your child seriously. If you've got whatever you have going on, take it seriously and make sure your priorities are in the right spot.
Work hard.
Yes.
You know, I've always believed that if you're fooling around every day, somebody else is working. And they're going to take your spot in society. And that's a wake-up call to most people.
It's a big, long line.
You know, it's like you can't just go to school, get a degree, and go to an interview and just regurgitate information that everybody else is saying.
It ain't gonna happen.
You got to go out and find. You got to learn about yourself. That's the biggest thing Cody and I talk about. And I'm sure during this whole experience, you learned a whole lot about yourself. You know, about your personality, how you deal with situations and things like that. And that's what we always preach about. That's one of the most important things. And that takes a lot of time, you know, a lot of research, effort, a lot of work, and it's a lot of it's by yourself.
Yes.
Trying to learn that stuff.
I was so confident coming out of high school of who I was. I actually had no idea who I was.
It was like an alter ego.
I really, I've always had a big heart. I've always been, I used to be called cocky back in the day, which I
kind of thought you were a D-bag.
Yeah. See, everybody saying I was a D-bag.
But that's changed. So.
Right. I mean, I used to get that. And I used to say, no, I'm not. No. Okay, well, I mean, looking back, I can see it. And definitely now I can see it. But it's just living in life and realizing that, you know what, I'm not the greatest at everything I touch or at anything I try to do. Really come to that realization, and being humbled in life has carried me so far. And that's been more recent. I mean, I've been more humbled when I kind of started having my reality checks, and I kind of started saying, okay, you know what, maybe you're not Mr. Invincible. I mean, it's been getting through the hard things has been the easy part, to be honest. But having the reality checks is where I've been really hurt at times. But I guess it's all worked out for the better now, so that's why I have no regrets about anything that's been going on.
Came out on top.
Right?
Yeah, always.
Yeah, I do agree. Learning about yourself is one of the hardest things in the world, and you're never going to learn everything about yourself.
Yeah.
But
Definitely. Well, we're not getting any more questions.
So it sounds like it's about time to
Wrap
stop
it
David
up.
from slamming us with his knowledge. All seriousness, it's been great having you on
It
the
has
show.
been great.
Thanks, guys.
And, I did say that I thought you were a douchebag, but here's the theory I have. When you have stereotypes like that, and then someone comes in and they completely are the exact
Disproving it.
opposite of that, it makes me respect that person so much more. And I think you've learned a lot, and I'm glad you shared your story because you probably will change someone's life, and I'll promote the crap out of this because we share the same goals. So I do appreciate you coming on the podcast, and I'm sure we'll have you back on one of these times. We'll just come up with another topic.
I hope so.
And you'll slam the guests with some more knowledge. But basically, we're going to wrap.
Yeah, we just got a comment from Ustreamer 625962. They said, "Nice job, guys. Great advice and information." So we thank you for that. That's
Thank you so
awesome.
much.
Appreciate
That's
that.
awesome
Thanks
to
for
hear.
listening, sticking around. I'm not sure how long it was, but probably about an hour-ish, maybe
Yep.
even more. But basically, we are giving away a free amp. The contest is on our YouTube channel, so you can check that out. I don't think we're gonna have an audio podcast of this. David showing the grand prize. And we're not going to have an audio podcast on our site of this, so you're going to have to check it out on our YouTube channel as well.
Yep.
Follow us at Team Young Life P on Twitter for all the updates, and you can like us on Facebook as well. Check out our blog, younglifeperception.wordpress.com. We post twice a week, and the website is younglifeperception.com.
And once again, I want to say thank you to David Lopez. Thank you for coming on our show. It's awesome.
It's nice meeting you, man.
You too, bro.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And you can follow me at Caddy Quinn, at Schwemsy.
Yep,
what
that's
it is?
mine.
All right,
Yep.
cool. We're about to wrap this up. We hope we changed some lives, and we hope you stick around with us. We hope you enjoyed the show, and check us out next week.
Oh,
we
yeah.
might be having, here's some good news. We might be having Maxim 2012 Gamer Girl
Of the year.
of the year
If everything goes
on the
as planned.
podcast. So all you gamer nerds out there, get ready for this one. It's going to be a
'Cause
big one.
It is.
It's going to be
I'm tuning
exciting.
in.
Oh, yeah.
I'm tuning in.
Thank you for tuning in, folks. We are the Young Life Perception.
We out.
Life is beautiful. Enjoy it.